It's the dirty secret of pro sports.
These pills just perpetuated a problem and didn't come close to solving it. They made it worse.
He was crushing them up and snorting them. We know that.
You know, and you walk into a table and they just got, 30 needles lined up and guys walk by to stick you, wipe you with a cloth, and you keep walking.
I'm playing the Dallas Cowboys on October 10th, and I went up to block a pass, and I came down. And when I came down, I snapped my entire tricep from the bone. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, okay, guess what? You can't use this. But guess what? You can't leave the game either. Like, you can't show them you're hurt. And you for sure you can't show your team that you're hurt. So let's deal with it. So for the next 15 plays, I'm playing with a pop tricep from the bone, and I'm saying, look, it's just pain.
Action for finds some time, gets away from Tuitt. Here comes Harrison chasing. Moore, oh my goodness, Moore is absolutely walloped. I don't know how he's going to get up.
Winston. There's that one-handed catch. What a grab. But Evans gets whacked. So he couldn't make the one-hander on the play before. And somehow
now he's offended by Donovan McNabb.
Less than 7 weeks after breaking his ankle, Owens broke off a big game in Super Bowl 39.
Imagine what he'd be doing if he were healthy.
And I'm going to have a leg in the...
After watching these clips, you're probably thinking, how in the hell can anybody get up after those hits? You're probably also starting to believe that NFL players really are made to be invincible to pain and injury, or at least that's what goes through the minds of many young football players who idolize these pros. The real truth is no. NFL players may be built to look superhuman, they may have more strength than the average person, but they do still bleed and are prone to injury just as much as we are. Actually, according to studies made by NFL Injury Analytics, between the 4 big North American sports, the NFL, the NHL, the NBA, and the MLB, NFL players have the highest in-game injuries at a rate of 75.4 per 1,000 athlete exposures. So per 1,000 players that play in a single game, 75 will get an injury whether small or big. This is 4 to 5 times higher than those in the NBA, NHL, and MLB. So if anything, NFL players get injured more than the usual professional athlete. So then how come even after these monster hits that no other person should be getting up and walking away from, we see these players brushing them off as if nothing happened, and continue to play? Well, the answer to that is painkillers. And for the past decade, it has been the NFL's biggest secret. But in recent years, hundreds of former players have come forward to their addictions and the abuse in which the NFL has brought upon them. In a study conducted by researchers at Washington University and St. Louis School of Medicine, 644 former NFL players were asked about abuse of opioids throughout their careers. 52% of those retired players have said that they used pain medicine like Vicodin, Oxy, and other drugs during their playing days, and 71% said that they abused them. 15% of those who abused them had used them within the past 30 days. So we can see how the issue creates long-term effects in the lives of these players even after their careers are over. 63% answered to obtaining these pills through non-medical sources, meaning they got them from teammates, coaches, trainers, families, dealers, and even the internet. Now you guys are probably questioning the players who are making these decisions and said that they don't have to take these drugs, and you're right, they don't. The NFL isn't directly forcing them to. But because of how money-driven the NFL is, if you're not a star player, even missing a game or two can cost you your career. When asked about this, the players from the study have said the same thing. The stress to play is high, even if you're injured. You don't complain because there is always someone there to take your spot if you don't perform. People don't understand the amount of stress that is put on players to play. So you play through the pain. It's what you have to do to play. You have to play through injuries. In the last 5 years, I got a shot at Toradol before every game. People keep playing because they're unsure of the future. They have little real career training, and many players don't know what to do without football. 99% of the guys that played, they would not have played if their jobs were protected. There was no job security and too much pressure to play. You could lose your job if you didn't play while hurt. And what made it even harder was how easy it was to get these drugs. Another player from the same study said, to get meds, opioids, all players had to do was ask the team doctor and they would give medicines. No questions asked. They used to give us the pills. We didn't need a prescription. I had to take shots to play, and after games they would dump 3 or 4 Percocets in my hands to take for the ride home. Back when I played, it wasn't as regulated. Whatever you needed, you got. If you were in pain, you got something. We didn't know what we were taking. They just gave it to us.
I got hurt, and as a person who has a real high tolerance for pain, You know, when you have issues that need medication, you know, that's easy to look at a doctor and go, he's handing out them shots right now. I really need this if I'm gonna make it through today. Vicodins, Percocets, Vioxx. I mean, Vioxx was a great drug.
Merck Pharmaceutical Company pulling its arthritis drug called Vioxx off the market after a new study disclosed that it could increase the risk of heart attacks and stroke.
Until Vioxx was banned and took off the shelves in America, I had bottles of it, you know. I had to give my dog Epicac one time because he ate one of my bottles. It had stockpiles of this stuff. That's how easy it was. It's a league of hypocrisy. As much as they want to punish this guy or that guy for performance-enhancing drugs, they're using performance-enhancing drugs in their own mind. We'll pump all you guys full of this stuff so you don't feel nothing when you're out there. It's just a fix for the interim and the immediate to keep you on the field. There's something to say for digging deep in you know, being there for your team and pushing through injuries, but again,
for my interview, I wanted to ask the former NFL player myself about his personal experience or what he saw during his time in the league, specifically if he had an encounter with painkillers. Thankfully, one of our school's football coaches, Jeff Dean, played in the league in 1984. He was drafted by the Jets, then traded to the Raiders, where he spent a couple months in preseason before being let go.
Took on while I was at Stanford as a college player.
Nice, okay. And so during your time in the league, well, the very little time you had, were you able to
I like the way you say that, the very little time I had.
Were you able to experience or witness any painkiller use?
Painkiller use, you know, I had an incident where I'd broken 4 ribs on one side, and so, you know, so I had to get through, you know, several, you know, I mean, you know, 6 more weeks I played.
Through the injury?
Yeah, oh yeah, no, just, yeah.
Through the
I'd separated a shoulder and hyperextended a knee and broke 4 ribs all
were
in one
these, game. So these were all played through?
Yeah.
And was it your choice or was it kind of...
It was offered up to me that if I wanted to, you know, they'd give me something to kind of dull the pain, but it just didn't seem like the right thing to do.
Yeah.
I mean, fortunately, we had really good trainers at Stanford, incredibly great trainers.
So as you saw, even Coach Dean, while only being around the league for a couple months and never even played in an actual game, he still played through these severe injuries as he was trying to take every chance he had to make a career out of football. We also learned that it is in fact the player's decision on whether or not they want to take these meds. As Dean said, they were offered and not forced. Now, as stated earlier, the effects of addiction to these pills and the risk of playing through bad injuries don't always come immediately. It's usually after these players' careers when they face bigger problems. In a New York Times article, The Cheer's Fate, the Pain Grows, former player Aaron Gibson, offensive lineman for the Chicago Bears and Detroit Lions, said he was not worried about addiction after his years, as he told himself, when I'm not playing, I'm not going to have to do this. After his retirement, he was taking about 200 pills a day, costing him his paychecks and which he earned by damaging his body every season he played. In Gibson's case, what happened to him happens to most players as they are suddenly told they are cut from the team for not being able to perform at peak on game days although injured. This leaves them with no doctors giving them free pills and instead finding doctors outside of the league willing to prescribe them pills. But even then, most refuse, pushing addicted players to go into dealers on the streets and even paying seniors and senior centers for their medications. This article goes into this as it lists things former players fall into in order to afford more pills, including selling their homes, possessions like jewelry, pawns for some cash, furniture, anything to get the money in order to buy more drugs, costing families to drift apart from them. So yeah, that about wraps it up. I hope you guys enjoy the documentary. I know Miss B will hate it, but hey, I guess I'm proving you guys wrong, huh? You can really do this all in one day. You just gotta fucking work your ass off. I love all you guys, 3,000. Hope next year enjoys Global. I sure did. This was a hell of a class. Thank you, Miss B.
We can leave your plans behind, 'cause your friends don't dance, and if they don't dance, well, they're no friends of mine. See, we can go where we want.